Welcome to video 2 in the Fortnite from Scratch tutorial series. So, if you watch the first video, which you should have done, because the way these are designed, they're meant to build on each other. What we're going to do is we're going to stay with right-hand peaks, and I think I could probably squeeze like at least 8 different videos in all the different ways that you need to learn to use right-hand peaks before you move on to anything else. If you think you are playing well but dying, I almost guarantee you that I can show you a clip of you playing and you will die only when you took the left-hand peaks. At least the majority of the time. Every single time I die, and I always clip every time I die, that I actually thought was like a close fight rather than just, I made a ridiculous mistake. And when I watch it, every single time the person outplayed me, it's because they kept creating these right-hand peaks. So the second way we're going to think about it, rather than just going round the side of a wall, right, which is what we did last time, and how this gives you much more of an advantage than this side because of the fact that the camera's on the right. Well, the second thing we're going to look at is bearing in mind that the other way that you can create opportunities to shoot people, rather than moving round cover, right, is to actually open the cover. Then we need to make sure that whenever we're editing, we're applying the same rule that we applied to the camera system here to our edits as well. And so what that automatically means is all edits on this side are a no-go. You literally never use them. I mean, there are some situations you would maybe use them, but by that point you're so good that you're not watching these tutorial series anymore, and I've got nothing to teach you because I'm not at the point that I can use those safely. So, given that we want to try and create a situation where we can use this right-hand camera situation again, do you think just there as well? Same thing. You only edit on the right, ever. And I really, really mean that. No matter which edit it is, do not do it on that side, ever. Because the same rules apply. You edit through this side, you're creating exactly the same situation as if you just ran that way. So, with that in mind, there's a couple of different edits that we can do that are on the right-hand side, right? There's that one. And notice that whenever I do this one, you always start on the central tile at the bottom, and given we're going to try and move like this, obviously at first you do it slowly and you'll do it in a bit more of an arc. As you get quicker, you'll sort of learn to draw a line straight through like that. But to begin with, that is definitely the best way to do it. The reason that you want to do it this way is because then your crosshair aims at around head height when you finish the edit. Not too hard to shoot someone. If you do it this way, you're now looking at the floor, especially if you're a controller player. When you see them, if the enemy's there, your aim assist is going to kick in, and it's going to slow down how quickly you turn. That's actually the way our aim assist works. It doesn't work like a magnet like they say, although it used to. What it does now is, let's say your sensitivity is normally 10. I'm not saying it is, but let's say it's 10. When you're aiming at someone, it will go down to like 4. So what we have to understand is when aim assist kicks in, if we're aiming at someone's feet, it's going to be nearly impossible for us to get to their head because we're going to be looking up at less than half the speed we normally would. They're just going to shoot you. So ending your edits with your crosshair at head height is another thing you always need to be thinking about. So that's the first edit we are going to do, is that one. The second edit we're going to do is that one. Now this is literally, if you can master these two windows. Now the reason I say you don't want to start with this window, you always want to do that one, is because a lot of the time out of habit you will always enter the editing kind of process standing in the middle of your builds. Maybe a little bit on the right, but very rarely on the left for the most part, if we're sticking to this philosophy of right-hand peaks. And so the reason why the right window can be bad is because you're already pretty much in the open. The central window. If you always pop the right window, it's pretty much always, I mean not always, but most of the time it will be to your right, and it will block you from cover. at first and allow you to set up that right hand peak situation. That one is a little bit more risky. Now obviously that one's quicker, because it means you don't have to then turn your crosshair back to them. You're already looking the right way, but obviously it's riskier. So if you are going to do the central window, you should always get into the habit of popping it, crouching, and moving to the left. But yeah, so out of habit, let's just not do that one to begin with. Let's just do 1, 2. Now windows are also great because they're so fast that they often allow you to create the element of surprise. And on top of that, because of how small they are, it's very, very quickly a possibility to kind of shoot and then just return to cover straight away without having to do any resets or anything like that. And unless they've got a ramp like this, it's very, very difficult for them to get through your window. So for the most part, if you can get into a good habit of, let's say someone's trying to pickaxe your wall, if you're just generally defending your wall and you go, it will at least force them to have to build, put a ramp down and slow down the pressure that they're putting on you. Similarly, this one is quite a nice one for shooting, but that one you do have to reset. So this one we'll use mainly when we're running through, and the window we'll use when we're staying back. Now the third and final edit, and I'm going to explain why we don't use the rest of them in a second, but the third and final edit we're going to do is this one, and this one's pretty much the God edit. And the reason I say that is because there's actually 2 different right hand peaks you can get out of the same one. You can step this way, or you can jump there. And the fact that you have 2 means that this one's also unpredictable. The issue with the window is you pretty much know where they're going to come from. With this one, you know they're not going to want to step all the way over here and expose themselves. You know they're pretty much going to want to drag to the left and try and make most of that cover as they move. So those 2 edits make you very predictable. Now the reason you being predictable is a problem is because when you've just edited, your gun doesn't fire straight away, and theirs does. There's a delay. The person editing is actually at a disadvantage unless they make an edit that doesn't expose them straight away and that allows them to wait out the delay time in cover. And that's why, again, this one's awesome, because while this one, which I did by accident there, but while this one would expose you, if we put this one down, we're covered during the delay. If we do this edit, we're covered during the delay. Now, the reason why this one is a little bit more dangerous is we're not covered during the delay. They can shoot us. And obviously, you can sort of move to the left, but you could sort of do a movement like that and then come after the delay had stopped. But, you know, a good player will hit you in the feet. And believe it or not, you can hit someone in the feet for like 100 with a pump. I mean, it's not a great deal of damage with attack, but you can still do considerable enough damage that it can change the pace of a fight. So, because of that, even though we are going to use edits 1, 2, and 3, what I would ask is you only ever use number 3 in one situation. And that's when you're running through. And if you're running through, that means that if your enemy is the other side of this wall, they need to be in the back half of the box. Now the reason they need to be in the back half of the box is if you're running through, you should be putting a ramp down. And even if you're not putting a ramp down, you need to know that they are not so close to the other side of your wall that when they open this, they're just running through it. Because if they run through, shoot you during your pump delay and start spraying you, even if you get an amazing shot off, you're probably dead. So you have to be really, really careful when doing an edit that easily allows them to run through the wall. With this one, they've got to jump through. That's, you know, jumping is great because it's normally unpredictable and it kind of makes you move quite quickly. But if you know they're about to jump through, well, the second they jump, they're then trapped in one movement for about a second, and it makes them reasonably easy to hit because you know you pretty much just wait right there, right? So when you do this one, people tend not to jump through. When you do this one, people love to have a run through and spray you. So if we're opening this one, let's make sure they're at the back half. And then there's 2 things we can do. We can either go through, and then you've got a ramp over them. Or, the other thing, if you want to be really careful, is you jump, and then during the time that the jump is happening, the delay is done. And by the time you land, you can pump someone. Now that's obviously the safest way. Most people don't bother with the jump. They they just do that. They just do that, and shoot. But like I said, that is a little bit risky. I think generally, with how good players are today, given a lot of them will like shoot you and put a ramp down themselves. If you're going to do any edits that open the wall, you're better off putting a ramp straight away, editing that, and then trying to create an advantage. I realise what I just showed you there was a little bit above what we're covering in this lesson, but you understand the concept of how it would put together. So these are the 3 edits we're using. We've got someone inside a box, and that they are either right in front of our wall, or they're sort of in the middle of the box. Yeah? And obviously you jump to the left as you do the edit, keep yourself in cover, and you can work on a couple of these things, and then maybe once you've jumped twice, the 3rd time instead of jumping, right, you go and take advantage of it that way. With this one, like I said, we're either going through, and obviously you don't need to do that, but do whatever you feel comfortable with once you've got a ramp on top of them. But I would always say flip it, go back into cover, reset, and pop a window. So that's a sequence we'll learn later. But yeah, so middle of the box, this shot, right? Kind of middle to the back, you can use that. When they're close, you can use that. If you think you have the element of surprise, or if they're trying to break your wall or run through your wall, cheeky window. And then this one, but you always have to be ready and prime the jump, because otherwise you will get shot. And that costs you nothing, but it's a really, really nice sequence in it, and you move quite unpredictably. They expect you, once you land, to sort of come out here. Actually crouching well timed is an amazing thing to do, but that's something I'm not very good at. But that's something I'm trying to work on at the moment, is well timed crouches. But certainly in that move, if you train it, it makes sense there, and it will make the reticle actually smaller, and it'll make your damage a little more accurate as well, if you notice, even with the pump. So those 3 edits are literally the only ones I want you to do, and this is also what we're going to apply to the ramp. So never that, never this. For the moment, all you ever want to do is that one or that one. This one, if you don't want to go into the box, let's say you've put a ramp in someone's box, right? Let's say we're coming through. This is actually quite a nice trick because it's not too hard. You go like this, we go through. You then go, right, I'm still in cover. Still in cover. Now, that person has got 2 builds that they can't place. They're trapped in here, right? And you've got a double right-hand peek. And if you want to reset, you can go... Even if you miss one, you're bound to hit the other, right? So that, or that one, it's always the same movement. You just go... Open the wall. Put a ramp down. Do some sort of edit on this side, whichever one you feel comfortable with. This one's probably a bit easier because it gives you cover straight away, and then right hand peek them. If you do that when you take a wall on someone, you will kill them 90% of the time. The only thing they can do is just sprint out here at you, and you'll just get used to going. Right? It's not actually... It simplifies the shot a lot. It reduces the amount of movement they can make, bearing in mind that most of the time these people are full box. Yeah. So yeah, so like I said, even with ramps, only on that side. With cones, you only ever want to drop that side if you're ever going to. Look, right hand peek, beautiful again. If we do this side... Oh, what am I talking about? If we do this side... I'm massively exposed, and I'm in the same issues I've got before. And similarly, if you're in a box, right, you don't want to edit out to the left-hand side, because this is all left-hand peak land. You want to go out to the right-hand peak, where you've got a right-hand peak on that, and if you jump, you can keep moving, where every angle you're taking is always, I'm going to try and go to the right. You essentially want to circle your enemies in a massive circle where you always go right. You see someone who's... Let's just build a box and pretend someone's here. if I'm attacking this box, if I'm attacking this box from far away, yeah. What I want to do is I want to make sure that when I get all the way over to it, I've got right-hand peak scenarios, right? Which means I can't approach it from this side. That's not going to do me any favors. If I come up here, then if he's got any sense, I've been hit through there. If I run through this, I'm then on the wrong-hand side of the wall. It doesn't make any sense for me. What I've got to do is, as I approach my fights, and whether they're in a box or not, it doesn't matter. You, as quickly as you can before you engage, even if you just do this, you want to get over to their right, because now all the camera angles are helping me, right? Now every time I do a right-hand peek, like every time, on the other side, every time I do a right-hand peek, I mean, it would be exposing me, if anything, right? It sort of works here because I'm facing straight on, but the second because that's sort of, when I start facing it, technically I'm sort of on the right again, right? But if I face it a couple more squares over here, and then I do the right-hand peek, that's not really helping me. It's not giving me, I mean, it's sort of cover, but it's not creating the same advantage to block my body as if they were on that side of me. So you've got to really, really think about, am I actually approaching my fights from the right-hand side? Because that will start off whether or not it's easy to create right-hand peak advantages. Once you are on the right, you just stay on the right, and if they start going right of you so fast, they're not focused on going up, you just get above them, and then once you're above them, you literally just circle them right some more. You go right-hand peek. You go right. I don't want to go this way because that would make me more to the left. Okay, I'm going to go this way some more. I want to drop down. Okay, like that. And then you go right. Right-hand peek again. I know I said we don't do that arch trade, but I was just doing it for the right-hand peek's sake. Once you're here, you do not go out of this side. Because in that moment, before you put your wall down, they've got the right-hand peek on you. Instead, you go this side, and now when I'm dropping down on him, I've got the right-hand peek on him. And so I would hope that a successful fight with an enemy that was good, when I look back at the builds I did afterwards, you should be able to see a circle like that. You should be able to see me constantly trying to fight for the right-hand angle with them. If you can see I was going left, I probably died. So yeah, so if we can think about stretching this idea of going here to, well, every single time there's anything in front of you and you want to create some sort of space to hit them through, it needs to be on that side. Right, now just a very quick bit at the end. Obviously, if you're somebody that is really, really comfortable with editing, this bit isn't for you. But I'm going to give you reasons why you shouldn't do this edit, and that edit. Also, you don't want to do that one. We've established you don't want to do any of the ones on the left. Obviously, this one's pointless because it doesn't give you a right-hand peek. Now, the reason you don't want to do this one, this is quite complicated. And I've thought about this for a long time, but there is a couple of reasons. Number one, that is pretty much open. And so we have to actually make sure we go all the way over here to do it. Now, doing the edit quickly from here isn't very easy. So you'll end up getting shot a lot as you move over to the left. That's number one. Number two is, it's slower than that. Why would you ever do something that's opening your wall more than this one, that when you want to reset it, if you've got your gun out after shooting, rather than only having to go over to here, now you've got to go all the way over to there to reset. Another reason, because I've lost track of how many numbers I said, is this is a more complicated movement and easier to make mistakes with. than that is. Like, obviously, that's slower and more complicated. It involves up and down. As that one is just... It's pretty much a straight line once you... I mean, I mess it up, but I'm trying to do it as exaggerated, super fast. But you try and... You know, that versus that. There's no way it's not more complicated. And... Most importantly, although I would say this is pretty much the main reason, the fact that it's much easier to shoot and reset this than... And bearing in mind with this, you can also jump to avoid the first bullet. There's nothing you can really do to protect yourself on that one. The main reason I hate this edit the most is that there is an invisible piece that blocks your shots and makes you have to expose more of your body than you normally would. Now, I'm going to prove it to you. So you remember last week's Red X, right? Last week's Red X shows us when we're aiming down the sights and look at that. Look how long it takes with this edit. Look, I can see around the corner now. Red X. Gun, okay? Now quite a lot of us is exposed. Now you could say, well look, if the Red X is showing, even if Fortnite hasn't animated it properly, there is obviously something there that's blocking your shot, right? So it should also block their bullets. And I may agree with you. I think you'd be probably right if you said that. However, this is the massive problem, is that if you do this edit and you've got the Red X, right? And I'm looking, let's just make it something we can be 100% sure of. Look, I'm looking perfectly in the center of the A and the N, yeah? Or near enough. Red X, yeah? Actually to quite a bit either side. Red X doesn't kick in till all the way over there. So when you're doing this archway edit, this bit here and the way they've animated it is actually blocking your shot so much that you've got to step all the way out to here, which in this is so much of your body, we've lost our right hand peak advantage. So given that this is slower, it's a pain to do quickly, it's got an equivalent edit that offers you more protection and it's faster, and it's got some buggy thing where you can't see it, but it's blocking your shots and it makes you expose yourself. Get rid of that edit from your mind. The only time you'll ever do that is if you are trying to bait someone's shot and you want to put a ramp down straight away. And that is not what we're doing in Lesson 2 of the Fortnite from Scratch series. So let's just keep it to that, and that for the meantime. The second one we're not going to do is this one. The reason is, trying to do that under pressure is even harder than doing that one. So yes, even though it's a great edit, unless you're already here, and you're doing it that way, and you're doing it quite slowly, because you've got loads of time, and I don't know why you've got loads of time, because this is not how this game works, yeah, then don't be doing that one. And equally, same rules apply here, yeah. The only thing you could maybe do is you could do that edit, and then you could drift, instead of hitting them with one of the peak shots, which would actually be quite a good idea, and I've only just thought of that, and I might give that a go and see how that does, and I can let you guys know. But I typically find, even when you just do something like you change one edit into another, if you learn how they mix up, that can be a good bit of fun. So yeah, so yeah, try and keep the concept of right hand peaks, and when I say, you know, even if you do this slowly, that is a better way to play than anything else. But evidently one thing you're noticing is that every single time I shoot, I'm opening an edit, I'm shooting, and I'm closing it. You need to get into the habit, even if you just practice doing this for a bit. Yeah, you need to get into the habit of closing your edit straight away. And then, in theory, you can take an advantage position on your enemy, you can shoot them, protect yourself, take a different advantage position, shoot them again, and you kill people with taking no damage. And that is how you eventually go on to kill whole teams without dying. So yeah, so that's lesson 2.